In a week where the premier team golf league, the Live Golf League, as everybody likes to call it, is in shambles. It's on its way down. We have a team event on the PGA Tour, one of the more fun weeks of the year at the Zurich Classic. We're going to talk about all of that. We've got Chiefs Correction Corner, plus, as always, a WTF Wednesday. All right, let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy Wednesday Hump Day edition. We've got a special one for you here with the team event coming up, the Zurich Classic. Ben Griffin and Andrew Novak, the defending champions. Some maybe potential PGA Tour cards on the line this week. We're going to get into all of that. But first, we are going to start this episode out, as we do on some Wednesdays, with our favorite segment. We got Chiefs Correction Corner. We're going to bring on the Chief here to go over some stuff. There was some, I don't know if he's going to get to some from the last episode, but that some of the stuff said at the end of that might be some pretty Chiefs Correction Corner type of stuff. So we're going to bring on the Chief here. We're going to put him in the middle, and we're going to hit him with a little, hit him with a little applause.
Oh, there you go. I think you had music on the last time that he was doing this, Spencer. I think.
Oh, I did. Maybe I'll put that back on low.
Sure. Yeah, go for it. Chief, what's up? How are you, sir?
Greetings, fellow Mensa members.
That is not us. That is not us.
Not me. Things are going well for a one-armed old man. I still rocking the cast. Started physical therapy today. It hurt like hell. So yeah, everything's good.
I was talking to Chief a little bit ago, and it sounds like he's going to be out on golf this summer, which is unfortunate.
It's this rotator cuff surgery. I had a torn rotator cuff, and it was badly torn, along with a partly disattached bicep. So it's going to be like a 6-month recovery.
I meant to ask you that.
Sessions?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what?
You throwing too many bullpen sessions?
Oh, I thought he was asking me.
No. As if you ask Jared Bednar, he would tell you I have an upper body injury.
And you're week to week, even though you're going to be out 6 months.
A week. Yeah.
Well, Chief, I was going to ask, did your bicep ball up at all in the top of your arm? Because that shit freaks me out.
It was only partially detached.
Okay.
But boy, I tell you, it's the thing that's hurting me the most right now is where they reattach that thing. So
I can only imagine. It sounds as painful as it looks, I'm sure.
I would go into the specifics of it, but I got a whole lot of material to cover with you guys today. So
perfect.
Yeah. If you're ready, we'll start rocking.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, we're going to go to the Postmasters show, which I thought there was some great stuff you guys talked about. And Mitch, you were talking about Rory driving all over the course, into the woods, everywhere, and still scoring well and winning. You know, and then what are they going to do about this? I think they're talking about removing trees, which, of course, as you said, is a bad idea. So I did some thinking about this and did a little research, and this has been a real problem for a long time. You know, back in his prime, in the mid-'60s and the mid-'70s, Jack Nicklaus was the biggest hitter on the tour, and his drives averaged 260 to 270 yards. Everybody else was averaging 240 to 250. And so he had a natural advantage. Well, through all the equipment improvements and new nutrition and the guys, the way they work out now, you know, it's nuts. And today's players average 295 to 300 with the top guys going 320. And so there has been discussion and I remember hearing this at least 10 years ago, maybe further, about limiting the flight of the golf ball. Instead of you can't keep making golf courses longer. You can't buy more land. I mean, you know, that's not a viable solution. So limiting the distance that the ball will fly for pros. And the people who are for this is a pretty impressive list. But you're talking about not only Nicklaus, but Tiger, Rory, Justin Thomas, Gary Player, and many other pros. And interestingly enough, Fred Ridley, chairman of Augusta National, strongly supports a distance limitation. Right? So it was a great topic. You're talking about how Rory, just going into the trees and it doesn't matter.
I think that we've definitely touched on it a few times, and I guess that whole subject has kind of gone by the wayside about limiting the flight of a golf ball or whatever for the tour pros. But then you think about other sports. I mean, I go to baseball immediately, where in college and basically everyone else besides the MLB players can use an aluminum bat, and then you get to the pros and you obviously have to use wood. And so it could make sense, but the problem is I feel like it's only going to give an advantage to the longer hitters. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, where you limit the flight of the ball, and then all of a sudden the shorter guys are even shorter. The longer guys are still long enough. But then, it ends up with just bombers out there, and we got to keep our Brian Harmons out on the tour, right?
Yeah. Love Brian. Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I will say too, I forget which event it was. I want to say maybe the Genesis, the 10th hole is a super drivable par 4. And we talked about this that week there was some stats that came out from that hole, and where, the Genesis, they've been playing there for 30, 40 plus years at the same golf course. And back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, before the ball really took off and everybody was hitting it 300 plus yards, the scoring average on that hole was actually lower when players were hitting it 250, 260 in the fairway versus trying to bomb it and hit the green with their tee shots. So I think the scoring average was like 0.3 strokes less when people were laying back and hitting the fairway versus trying to bomb it up on the green, which is it's an equalizer for golf. And truly, like, the courses that are built the right way, and not that Augusta's not built the right way, but the courses that are built the right way really can limit the distance issue, if you will, of the guys that hit it way further than the other guys.
Yeah. Okay. And moving on, we were talking about, I think, Spencer, you mentioned that playing at Augusta National would be a bucket list item for most golfers. And then you guys threw out a couple of numbers. Spence, you said there must be 5 million golfers in the U.S. And Mitch went, no, there's 40 million golfers in the U.S., And therefore, Augusta is a bucket list item for 390,900 golfers, Well, this could be, all right. But I'm one of the 100,000 non-believers, because I couldn't play that course. And you guys, are you familiar with Denver's South Suburban course?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those greens are not fair to the average golfer like me. And I won't play that course. I stopped playing that course 20 years ago. They're just too tough. And, if you're going out to have a good time, as opposed to maybe compete and play for money like you guys do, nobody wants to put up with that. I'm sorry. So Augusta's not playing it. It's not a bucket list for me. I'd probably like to go watch a round at the Masters, but I don't know that that's going to happen or not. And by the way, there are actually about 29 million Americans who play golf on a golf course. If you add people who only play on driving ranges and simulators and entertainment venues like Topgolf, then the total number jumps to 48 million. So, Mitch, you were right. You were right in the ballpark there.
Wow, that's the
we've
closest I've ever been on a take.
We've had to start calling it outdoor golf now. We call it indoor golf and out like that. When we started this podcast, that wasn't a thing. And that was not that long ago. 2020, it wasn't like there was places like Topgolf and stuff, but it was just more of a novelty. And now you say those numbers, and it's essentially, I'm going to throw out quick math, 36% of the overall golfing, in quotes, population is limited to simulator / Topgolf / indoor golf.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. Another interesting number that I found out is that only about 3.7 million golfers maintain a official handicap.
Wow. I did not know the number was that low.
Yeah. Only 3.7. And my theory is it's because those of us who don't maintain a handicap, like me, understand that our handicap is our swing. So you got to live with that. All right?
Absolutely.
All right. Moving along. You guys were talking, and I agree with this totally, about all the TV love for Rory. They showed 71 of his swings for the final round of the Masters. Every one of them. Because he shot 71, right?
Yep.
Spencer ran down that number, the numbers for other players, all who got far fewer their strokes on TV than Rory. And I got to tell you, I don't get the Rory love in America. You know, his overly exuberant cheering and in-your-face barking during the Ryder Cup has kind of ruined this guy for me. And I may be out of shape old man, and Rory's ripped, but you know, I'd fight him on hockey skates. I'll tell you right now, man. Even with my upper body injuries.
I think he definitely looks strong, and he is physically strong, but in a fight, I don't think I would pick him by any means.
Well, against me, you probably ought to.
With one wing, maybe, but if you have both of them, I'd call it even money.
Much love. Of the other players Spencer mentioned, and that was interesting, the numbers that you ran down, Spence. I thought that the Tyrrell Hatton number was very interesting because they only showed 16 of his shots, as you mentioned, Spence, during the final round, and he finished tied for third. But I think that Tyrrell has limited appeal, mostly because people watch him just to see him blow up. I mean, that's why I watch the guy. And I love how when he misses a putt, it doesn't matter if he's tied for the lead or he's trying to make the cut. You know, if he misses a putt, he can't stand it, man. He's what happened? That's supposed to go left. Oh man, the guy's a riot. He's just a riot. So you know, that's I guess okay that they didn't give him a whole lot of TV. But,
funny enough, I actually saw an interview with him pretty recently, and he said that he's one of the few guys that actually plays better when he's quote unquote negative because he gets it out and he doesn't carry it with him. But when he bubbles it up and keeps it inside, he's just a fiery dude. So if you keep it in, eventually you're going to lose your shit. So I think he just lets it out when it comes to his mind so then he can just move on.
That's a great point, Mitch. And I'll tell you, your Aunt Susie and I watch a lot of these tournaments, and when you see these guys after they sink the winning putt break down, I mean, the emotions come flooding. It's like they've been holding that all week.
Yeah,
they have not allowed themselves to get upset and flustered. Tyrrell does, and maybe that's why he is a better golfer for that. That's good.
Yeah, that's funny.
Also in this episode, this is not golf related. Spence was talking about drinking less and having a milder or no hangover. He said, I'm drinking very little on Saturday and even less on Sunday and have a milder hangover. It's funny how that works, isn't it? But don't cut short your fun
or something
just because you fear the hangover. I mean, remember what the great American actor Humphrey Bogart said about hangovers. He said, I feel sorry for people who don't drink because when they wake up in the morning, they know that's the best they're going to feel all day.
Isn't that the truth?
That is a
We're
fact.
dealing with that right now.
Yeah,
starting to feel better as the day goes on.
There you go. And he also had another great quote about drinking. Humphrey Bogart said, the problem with the rest of the world is that they're 2 drinks behind.
I love
that's
that.
how I feel with just about everybody when I'm drinking with them.
I got you. We're gonna move to the April 20th episode, and this was you guys were talking about. Mitch, you were talking about Denver's geographic position and pro sporting events starting late, because Denver's in the Mountain Time Zone, and we pretty much are lumped in with all the West Coast start times. And Spence was complaining about an 8-12 puck drop, which was, I think, last night for the next Avalanche playoff game. And by the way, Spence showed me the picture of him and the lovely wife and the youngest Stetson at the game last night, stayed till the bitter end, a 4-hour hockey event, including the busted glass behind the bench. So well done. But I have to tell you, and by the way, I know this doesn't work well for Stetson. You said this 8:12 start time. And I think you're going to have a hard time convincing the major sports leagues to take a 3-month-old child's schedule into consideration when they schedule these things. And just as a comparison, they don't care about my 98-year-old mother who watches every Avalanche game religiously. They don't care about her having to stay up, 6 hours past her bedtime to watch an Avalanche game. I know it's inconvenient sometimes. And the thing is, now that you're a new parent, Spence, this comes with the territory, man. If you want to go to games, you're going to have to get the kid synced into it,
Yeah. It's just we're just living in AM and PM don't matter anymore. It's just, hey, when's this game on? And then we're just going to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, gotcha. All right.
I did not stay up until 2:15 in the morning last night, for anyone that was wondering. Yeah. I turned it off after the first period. Unfortunately, I was just like, I can't do this. I had traveled yesterday. I was so beat. So yeah, it's a little late for me out here.
I was eating a McDonald's Big Mac at 12:50 a.m. on my way home.
Hey,
it's probably why you feel so good.
If you're an Avalanche fan on the East Coast, which my sister is, she's in New Jersey. I'm sorry, she's in Virginia. Game doesn't start until 11:15.
10:15 was last night.
Yeah, 10 crazy.
Yeah, 10:22 puck drop. It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, another couple quickies. You guys talking about this guy Guerrero and Giselle Bundchen dating? No, never happened. Just
Damn
a rumor.
I thought I had that.
She was involved with Brady's business adventures along with Guerrero, so they do know each other and they have a relationship, but it is not a romantic relationship. Also, this is a follow-up for me. Mitch declared on that April 20th, I will not be drinking at the game Monday night, Rockies game. How'd that go?
I had one beer. That was it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to keep going just a couple more, boys. We're going back now to catch up on some old stuff. And I've tried to kind of cull this to the more interesting things. On April 8th, Mitch complained about too much cream cheese on bagels in New Jersey. You guys remember this?
Yes.
Yes. I complain about that every time I get a bagel. It's ridiculous.
There's 2 inches of cream cheese. I got to tell you guys, most people complain that there's too little cream cheese on their bagels. So here's the thing. If you want less, tell them you just want a schmear. You ever heard that term?
Yes.
Yep. I think it's
is that what that means?
I think it's a New York term. Yeah, just to take some cream cheese on a knife and just smear it on.
Yeah, I usually order light cream cheese, but then they ask do you mean low calorie? And I'm like, well, I could probably use that as well, but no, I just mean less cream cheese on it. And then
tell them you just want to smear.
Okay, I'll see how it works out for me.
Yeah. All right, Mitch, you were also talking. You said this one got me. Mitch said he'd like to see how many chicks Fred Couples bagged. Freddie's a good-looking boy and, been on the tour a long time. Well, he's been married most of his adult life. Now,
poor guy.
Whether he's,
we also know that doesn't mean anything in professional sports.
I know, that's what I'm saying. But his wives include Deborah Couples, who they met in college and were married from 81 to 93. And then if they split up, she apparently couldn't handle it because she actually jumped to her death in 2001.
Oh, wow. That's terrible.
Yeah. And now he is with, he was with someone called Thais Baker from 1998 till we don't know when. She died in 2009 of breast cancer.
Wow.
So this is starting to sound almost Henry VIII-ish here to me with this guy getting rid of wives. And he's currently married to Suzanne Hanneman, wife number 3, and they've been married since 2022, not that long, but they live in Newport Beach. And
okay.
Then Mitch said, and this is still talking about the guys he saw at Augusta, He'd like to hang with Adam Scott and get some of the residuals. He's one of the best looking guys to ever play golf. Well, he turned pro in 2000 and married his current wife, Marie, in 2014 and has 3 children. So hanging with him back then, you might have been all right. You might have cut a little left or right. But he, at this point, I'm pretty sure you know that he has a reputation as a pretty devoted family man.
Yeah,
And,
he's a good dude. He's a good one. I could see Freddie messing around a little bit, but not Adam Scott.
Mitch also speculated, this is right before the Masters. He said, I wonder if Rory's going to serve haggis at the Masters champion dinner. All right. Rory is Irish. Haggis is Scottish.
Oh, Mitchell.
All right. So
no, that was you, Spencer. I said blood pudding. You said haggis.
I don't even know what haggis is, bro. I would have never said that.
I have it for you. Haggis. Oh, yeah, but I guess your concern over haggis is warranted because it consists of sheep's heart, liver, lungs, and stomach.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Not exactly a Big Mac, you know?
No, definitely not as good as my Big Mac last night.
All right. Now, I got to get this one before I know we're getting a little long here, but I got to do this one. On March 22nd, way back, this is a month ago, you guys are talking about unique skills that you have.
Yes.
You remember this?
Yes. I'm the most elite teeth brusher on the planet.
Toothbrushing, yeah. He says an elite toothbrusher. Right? Good for you. I mean, it's a learned skill. All right, not ingrained or inherited, but a fantastic habit with long-term benefits. Good for you. Mitch said his skill is hand-eye coordination, and he talks about an egg come flying out of the refrigerator, and he reaches and catches it, and it's like, wow. And he says, well, there's nobody here to see that. Gee, that's a shame. Showing off your hand-eye skill. Well, that is more of an inherited skill, Mitch, which, by the way, both of you guys have. Because if you didn't have good hand-eye coordination, you couldn't shoot golf the way you shoot. I'll tell you that right now. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I did the same episode a little later. Mitch talked about, and this might have been either a WTF or a mulligan. I don't remember. But he was talking about being on an airplane and having his earbuds in and having to pass a little gas. And so he did, and he's pretty sure the lady next to him, heard it.
Oh, yeah.
And so Mitch says that everybody, I'm going to read this exactly. Everybody should wear headphones or earbuds on airplanes so they can't hear other people fart.
I think that's pretty fair.
Should they wear nose plugs too?
I mean, I wouldn't blame them if they did.
Well, here's something for you, Mitch. Talking about skills. How about a skill of learning how not to fart in an airplane? Because a lot of people know how to do that, buddy.
Yeah, I a couple of years ago, I just stopped caring about when and where I farted. Maybe I should bring that back because I need to have a little bit better bedside manner with that.
You are well suited to be a senior citizen about 40 years early.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right. One more. This was Spence. And I love this one. He's pre-worried about our sports teams sucking 5 years down the road. You remember this, Spence?
Yes.
Everybody's playing well now. Says, I just know, man, 5 years. Oh shit, they're going to suck. I got to tell you something, man. You got to live in the now. You got to enjoy what's happening. Because I've been a Chicago Bears fan for 67 years. I've been a Broncos fan for 54 years. So just knowing those two franchises, think about the ups and downs that has entailed. So enjoy today's success. Live in the now. Don't get depressed about your sports team sucking until they actually suck.
That's a great call.
Life is better that way. All right.
I love that.
That is fair.
I'm gonna stop there, guys, instead of continuing because you got a show to do. But I just want to say, you're doing a great job. I don't consider these really so much correcting you as just kind of having some fun with you about some of your takes. And I appreciate it. And I will
You're
say,
the best,
Dave,
Chief.
it's hockey playoffs, and as we both know, the Avs are doing okay after a real struggle last night. And I wanted to let you know that, by the way, Nathan McKinnon won the Rocket Richard Trophy, which is the trophy given to the NHL player who scores the most goals in that season. I am one of the few people, well, I shouldn't say few, but I'm a person who actually watched Maurice the Rocket Richard play hockey back when there were 6 teams.
Wow.
He was a little 5'9" animal. And they called him the Rocket because he was as fast as McKinnon probably it is today. So here's to Rocket Richard. Here's to the Avalanche. Here's to Nikola Jokic waking the hell up. And just remember,
Yes.
boys, if you really want to know, call the Chief because the Chief freaking knows.
You're the man.
appreciate it,
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
That's awesome.
All right. Yeah, that was very good. I enjoyed that.
Farts on an airplane is always a move. I farted in the bathroom when I was by myself in a one-holer, and I was like, are the people I work with gonna hear that? Like, I was kind of concerned, but I was also like, I'm in the bathroom. They just came out.
Yeah, I know your office. The one-holer is pretty small and it kind of echoes, I want to say. So I could definitely, if you're laying it down, I'm pretty sure everybody outside could hear it. And it kind of had me thinking because I was on an airplane yesterday as well, flying back to Jersey. And I don't think I had any like bad farts or anything. But the lady next to me, well, I'll get into it later. It was not the most enjoyable flight.
WTF Wednesday.
Yeah, let's just say I was a little jammed in my seat. And then also, unfortunately, my girlfriend dictates where I sit on the airplane. And so it always ends up being the middle seat. And I'm just like, why am I in the middle seat as the bigger human? But that's love. That's what you do for the people that you love. So
yeah, for me, it's, and that commercial, that Southwest commercial you watch a million times where it's like they've got assigned seating at Southwest now, and the husband goes, oh, that means we can sit next to each other on the airplane, and she goes, probably not. And that's exactly how I am. Now that I have kids, if the kids are flying with us, obviously it's kind of a perfect scenario. When we had one kid, you could put them in the middle and then have your aisle and have your window. But for me, when I'm flying without children, and even if I'm flying with buddies, if we can all get the aisle or the same row, great. The second I step on an airplane, it's fend for yourself. I'm getting the fucking seat that I want. I don't care who I'm sitting next to. I'm getting a window seat on the left side of the plane so I can lean my head to the left and on the window and sleep. And I don't care about anybody else. I'm out.
that is fair. I'm generally an aisle guy. We've discussed this. And if I'm drinking, and I just hate inconveniencing people to get up and go pee. But I just thought about this actually yesterday because I always book us in a middle seat and a window seat in Economy Plus, but then there ends up being flights like yesterday. It wasn't super full. So all the middle seats in Economy Plus, or a lot of them, end up being empty. And I'm thinking next time I book us a window seat and an aisle seat, and then people will be less inclined to book that middle seat. And then if they do, when they get there, I'll be like, I'll switch with you and give you the aisle, and they'll be super thankful. So I think that's kind of a double win for me. I figured out my new strategy.
You just have to go into the flight knowing you're going to sit in the middle seat, and then you get a win if you sit in the aisle seat, but you also get a chance of having, I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. And I do feel bad for you that you were a little jammed up on the plane yesterday, but sitting next to Mitchell at any sort of sporting event, you're going to have your balls absolutely squeezed because your legs are not going to be able to spread enough to be able to allow anything to hang at any capacity, because Mitchell's legs are out.
I do tend to go spread eagle. Yeah. I like to have my room. I hate when people jam me up.
I always look down, and all I have to do is give him a look and look down at his leg, and then he'll scoot it in and then work it back out another 10 minutes later. And then I tap it scoot it back in, work it out 10 minutes later. That's just our way of doing it. It's just what happens.
When you're as thick as I am, you need a little extra leg room. It's just, you got to let things air out a little bit. Should we talk a little playoffs, a little basketball, hockey playoffs, or we're already 30 minutes in at this point.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk a little playoffs. I will say I was pretty down bad about the Nuggets' performance. It's that they're very on brand. This is exactly how they've played all season. And if they stay on brand and win games on the road, they should win at least one in Minnesota. Hopefully at least one, maybe two. I don't want game 5 to be a freaking do or die game back at home already and have to win 3 straight to win the first series when they theoretically should be in the Western Conference Finals, or at least giving themselves a chance to be. First round exit this year would be a disaster. But even though it has nothing to do with the Nuggets and Avs series, seeing the 76ers win a game in Boston last night, seeing the Atlanta Hawks win a game in New York, seeing the Portland Trailblazers without Wemby went down, but them win a game without, in San Antonio and take the series back 1-1. Those series have literally nothing to do with the Nuggets, but seeing that has made me feel a little bit better about the scenario that we're in.
For sure. Yeah. Cause I've looked at those series and I guess, the Nuggets are maybe in a little bit more of a contested series in everybody's opinion. But at the same time, I look at the better teams in those series and I'm like, they'll be fine. Like the Spurs are still going to win. I'm at no point am I thinking that the Knicks are going to lose, the Spurs are going to lose, or the Celtics. There's a possibility, just like, anything, but I agree with you because it definitely lightened the blow a little bit that we're not the only higher seed that has a 1-1 series right now. It's not like everybody else is 2-0 and then we're 1-1. But I will say too that did you see the video of Wemby's head bouncing off the floor?
No, I don't think I can take it. Remember that MTV show Scarred or Injured or whatever? I can watch people getting scared, but not scarred. I am not a fan of injuries. That's not something that gets me going. So I kind of avoid like the Kevin Ware ankle snap and the ankle turns and that kind of stuff. I can't. Well,
the ankle snap was different. Like I heard that there was dudes immediately vomiting on the floor when that happened. So I think hitting your head on the floor is a little bit of a different story. But I've always wondered that because in hockey, it's a little different. Those guys are super tough. They're going to have to get dragged off the ice. They're not coming off for little nicks or scratches or anything. But there's been a few times in the NBA where guys hit their heads. And I'm like, how is there not a concussion protocol for NBA players? Like, obviously, it's much less physical and not near the damage to your head like the NFL. But there's been times where I'm like, for sure, these guys are concussed and they just stay right in the game. So that was the first time I've ever seen the NBA utilize concussion protocol. And obviously, it didn't do the Spurs any favors. But that is the crazy thing as well about the Spurs is they played a lot of the year without Wemby. And not a lot of the year, but about a quarter of the games. And I think their record was pretty damn good without him. So I just think that the Portland Trailblazers are pretty fucking good, honestly. Denny Avdia is very good. They've got a couple, like Scoot Henderson was a guy that I know was very talked about in the draft, 2 years ago. And he hasn't really panned out.
Got drafted 3rd overall, but it's like
it was in a weak draft, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not saying Scoot Henderson. He was 3rd overall the year Wemby went number 1. But not saying Scoot Henderson's going to be Anthony Edwards, but I think Anthony Edwards is one of the first cases where he got drafted number 1 overall, super athletic, not that great of a college player, NBA is one of those weird sports where these guys get drafted a la Peyton Watson, where they average 2 points a game in college or nothing impressive, and they still go in the first round or the top 10 of the NBA draft. But Anthony Edwards was kind of that guy and wasn't didn't turn into Ant until about 2 to 3 years into the league. You have to fact check me on when but I remember him as a rookie being like, oh, this is just another Anthony Bennett scenario, 1st overall pick. That's going to be a nothing. And now the guy's just a killer. So I think it takes them a little while, but Scoot Henderson's one of those guys where, the outside of the ownership fucking debacle in Portland. And I don't know if you've seen all of this. Like
I have seen a lot of it.
I saw a meme yesterday that said it was like a guy pissed off, and it was the Portland Trailblazers owner realizing they have to pay for a flight for the whole team back to San Antonio for game 5. Just unbelievably bad stuff from the top down. But Portland itself, and dealing with the whole Chauncey Billups scenario, and having, Thiago Splitter is their coach, who's grew up a Spur and has been in the Spurs organization, does things the right way. They're a pretty fun team to watch. I still don't consider them even a contender. Like, to me, if we were playing the Trailblazers, I'd expect a sweep. And I know that's not necessarily fair. They're better, but my mind doesn't allow myself to think they're good just quite yet.
That's totally fair. Did you see, what did Bill Simmons call the owner of the Trailblazers? He gave him a hilarious nickname, something about Mr. Cheapskate or some bullshit. I forget how he worked it in. It was much funnier than that. I'll have to find it at some point. But it was pretty funny because they said that they didn't want to order T-shirts in Portland for the playoffs. And then I guess the Blazers tweeted like, big things coming for our first home game. And everyone's like, oh, are they doing towels? Like, holy shit, alert the media, they're printing towels. And apparently did you see the news that Thiago Splitter, when he got the job, because obviously it was kind of a choppy deal up there in Portland with Chauncey Billups getting arrested and then Thiago getting, holy shit, I'm having a brain fart, getting promoted to head coach kind of middle of the season. But apparently he's making much less than an average NBA player or NBA coach is making. And apparently the ownership is interviewing head coaches for next season right now in the middle of their playoff run. So it sounds
and they put a self-imposed salary cap on their ownership, or on their coach's salary, of $1.5 million. That's the most they're going to pay anyone.
Oh my God, that's a fucking joke.
And that's actually out there.
Wow, that is disgusting. Like, you're hardly going to get anybody knocking on the door for that job. And the sad part is they've got a great young team, and it's a foot in the door, I guess, somewhere. But how can you have a billionaire spend whatever he spent on buying the Blazers? And I guess it is fair to think that you don't have a lot of money coming out of your pocket. Once you own a team, you're like, I should be netting money here. But you have to have, reserves for business expenses and shit, which includes flights, which includes buying T-shirts for the fans, paying coaches, things like that. So just the fact that he's coming in and immediately just being the cheapest owner in all of sports has got to be pretty disheartening for a low-level market team like the Trailblazers, where you would really love to see a dedicated owner come in, really like bolster their coaching staff, bring some energy and bring an influx of cash into the team to try to improve it. So it's a little rough up there for Portland, but I do think we have to start taking them semi-seriously, because they are in a division with the Nuggets, which divisions in basketball really don't matter. Like, I really don't even know who's in our division. But it is something like the Nuggets play the Blazers pretty frequently. So Denny Advia has given us everything we could handle this past year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's transition into a little bit of golf and talk about US Open qualifying season. I know this is a fun time. Have you signed up for your qualifier? Did we decide if you're doing this or not? Are you bailing?
I bailed because I was too late to sign up for the one that was close to me, which was on me. That was stupid. And then the next closest one was on Long Island, and I do not need to go spend $300 and then a night in a hotel and then early wake up to go shoot 75 and fucking miss out. Like,
are you the Portland Trailblazers owner all of a sudden?
Yeah, I might've gotten a little cheap, and I just don't want to make the drive. It's a whole pain in the ass. I probably would not be able to get out for a practice round because it's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive each way. So yeah, I'm kind of past it. I would have liked to have signed up for the one. Now that I know that there's one close, I probably will do it next year. But yeah, I saw some scorecards floating around on social media. A case of the Mondays, or Monday Q Info, tweeted out a dude shooting 121 at a US Open local qualifier. And somebody goes, well, shouldn't everybody get a fair shot? Because Monday Q Info was kind of talking shit about him. And at the end of the day, if you're inflating your handicap because you have to be a 3 index, I want to say, or 2 maybe, or a 2 or 3, right in that ballpark, in order to just sign up for the US Open, or the US Open local qualifier. So if you have spent that much time artificially deflating your index to then go out and shoot 50 some over par on 18 holes, you are a scumbag and you deserve to be shamed for that. Unless it's some sort of losing of a fantasy league that you have to go sign up for this, which I am all for, I think is hilarious, but it just makes it so much harder for the playing partners of this guy. I mean, I've played in plenty of qualifiers where even though my score might have not been the most serious score at the end, I could just tell who was pretty unserious about it and who actually gave a shit. I think I've definitely told this story on the pod, but one of my Colorado Open qualifiers, the dude I played with eagled the first hole and then walked off the course 3 holes later. So a dude like that, I think he was 19. He seemed like a real head case, but you're like, what the fuck are you out here for? He made like 1 double bogey. And I think he was even par at the time. I probably made a bogey somewhere in there and I was still plugging along. I think I ended up missing it by 1, but yeah, there's plenty of unserious people at these qualifiers. And I do truly feel bad for the people that are there to actually qualify and get through when you get stuck with a dude who's, you just look at him and you're like, yeah, you're firing 95 today, bud.
Yeah. I don't know if it's directly correlated or not, but I feel like in my golfing life, I've always played better with people that are, I mean, shooting 120 is a lot, but I've always played better with people that are not as good as me or like a low, or like not even in the same, it's not as cocky as it sounds, but not even in the same stratosphere. Like if somebody's shooting high 90s, low 90s, whatever, and they're kind of a bogey golfer, maybe a higher than that bogey golfer, I feel like I'm more trying to help them, help them find their golf ball or whatever. And I feel like sometimes I can just vibe that way and I can play really well. And then I played walked a little niner yesterday at my home course. And I was playing with our buddy Joe, who's awesome. And I know what his game's like. He's like, I think he says the 12 handicap. So pretty good player. And then we got paired up with another single of a guy who was a pretty good player. Probably he didn't say his handicap, but I'd guess he's in the low single digits, maybe a 5 or 6. And he out hit me on a tee shot. Like I didn't know he was good. The first couple of shots I saw him hit, I was like, whatever, nothing impressive. But then he started he out drove me on 1 hole and started like putting together some pars, having a bunch of birdie putts. And I was like, oh, and it kind of like, I don't know. I was just out there for fun. I was obviously not trying to grind over anything, but it kind of turned my dial up a little bit. Like do you get that where it's like he was kind of starting to beat me and we weren't playing a match. He had no idea I was mentally doing this to myself, but I was all of a sudden like, all right, I'm not losing to this guy. Right. And funny story about this guy. So we're playing the first hole and he, meet each other, whatever. He tees off. He owns Clubhouse Working Golf here in Colorado. It's like basically started it from the sim he had in his garage. He started this company for him and his buddies. They didn't even want to make it a company. They were like, hey, let's build a fucking place that we can go play golf and have a conference room and work. And it turned into a fucking thing where they sold out memberships for their entire facility on I-25 in Bellevue here in Denver. And now they're building awesome. A whole nother facility in Cherry Creek just to do this. Like people sign up and get a membership there and I believe have a gym, they have showers, they have conference rooms, and then they have golf simulators. But anyways, hits the first couple of shots. I fucking made one of the worst swings I've ever made on my second shot on 1. And so I'm not really paying attention to his game. Long story short, we get on the fucking putting green and he lines up his putt and he's putting left-handed. And I was like, is this guy been fucking left-handed the whole first hole? And I didn't realize it, but no, turns out Joe asked him about it. He goes, oh, I'm just a fucking head case. He's like, I putt left-handed, but I swing right-handed. And I was like, yeah, dude, I feel that. He's like, I've got 5 or 6 lefty lab putters. And then he told me, he's like, you think I'm a fucking head case? My buddy carries 2 putters in his bag, a righty and a lefty. The lefty is for anything like 15 to 20 feet and in. The righty is for lag putting.
Holy shit. Yeah, that is to give up a 14th club in the bag just to carry a second putter. That is some next level shit. We did have a guy at our old club. You remember Dennis Moore, an absolute legend. He carried a putter that was his around the green putter because he never chipped. So if he was 50 yards out in the fairway, 60 yards out in the fairway, he carried one of those big old ping mallets that weighed like 3 pounds. So he could really swing that thing and get it up on the green from 60, 70 yards. But that is the only other case that I've heard of somebody carrying a separate putter just to use in certain situations. So I respect the shit out of it.
Yeah, pretty insane. But I was like, am I crazy? Was he left-handed this whole time? And I just didn't notice. And then I looked at his irons and they were all right-handed. And then we started talking about it. So it was pretty good. Let's transition a little bit into the Zurich Classic. So kind of funny timing for this to happen as the premier team event across the world in our team golf
organization.
Team organization is going down in flames, or so it appears. And you have the one and only team event on the PGA Tour, but truly one of the most fun events to watch because it feels very much like you're putting the pros in the situations that us as amateurs will always be in. You know, how many events do you play in as like people go out and play their own ball and play 18-hole stroke play, and the more competitive you get, you do more of that. But like a lot of the events that people play in casually but for some competition are team events. So it's a pretty fun setup. And do you have the format in front of you? You're going to remind folks of the
yeah, well, I know that I think it's 1 day of scramble, 2 days of best ball, and then 1 day alternate shot is the last round.
Okay.
So yeah, I think they flip-flop more Thursday, Friday scramble best ball for the morning wave, afternoon wave. And then once you make the cut, I want to say it was 33 teams that make the cut. Then they play best ball Saturday and then alternate shot on Sunday. So the alternate shot is truly, we've talked about it with member guests, shit like that. That is where the boys get separated from the men. And it's just so interesting because the team dynamic of golf, like even in live, it's a quote unquote team, but there's no actual, and this is kind of funny, I've never thought about this, but there's no actual pairings of guys playing against other teams. You know what I mean? It's all individual, and then they combine the scores similar to like high school golf, but it's no pairing up of two guys versus another two and so on. But there's a couple of young dudes in this field, and Andrew Novak, I was watching their press conference with Novak and Griffin. And I also love how they do pressers together as a team as well, because that's always fun. But Novak was like, yeah, there's a lot of young dudes in this field that you may not know their name, but you'll know it by the end of the week. And it always feels like with this event, we get one really young team that nobody's heard of, relatively speaking. We get two old dudes that are coming out of nowhere that are just gaming it together. And
then one set of brothers that just randomly pops up, whether it's the Hoygaards, they took second last year, or the Fitzpatricks, who are the odds-on favorite this year.
The Koepkas.
Yeah, it's just how it goes. Interesting. Did you see Ryan Gerard ended up finding someone? Did you see who he got?
Yeah, my boy Sundarshan. Yeah, the legend, Yellow Miraju. So, because I know he asked Smiley Kaufman, and Smiley was like, absolutely not, dude. My game is not in shape to come play a PGA Tour event unless you just want to fucking miss the cut and have a good time for 2 days. So, I mean, Yellow Miraju and Gerard could end up being two very solid guys to pair together, just because they're both very good tee to green. But then Yellow Miraju is a great putter, where Ryan Gerard is not. So maybe the scramble format, Ryan Gerard is just stuffing it, and Sundarshan can fucking make some 20, 30 footers. But there's definitely teams in the alternate shots. And I was actually thinking about this morning. Would you prefer to play a team event with somebody that plays like you, or somebody who's got like an opposite of your game? And think of yourself as an elite player. Like, no offense, you're a good player, but you're not elite.
No offense. I feel like, yeah, because my answer to this is
that's not a fucking answer.
No, not as I have two answers to this. As a non-elite player, as you just called me, I actually enjoy playing these events with somebody that doesn't play like me, maybe like somebody that's got a better short game, maybe doesn't hit
somebody
it as
that
far
finds their ball pretty consistently and
can make putts, with the caveat that they will take my golf ball and my tee shot if it's in a little bit of a non-perfect spot where theirs is 50 yards back in a perfect spot. And I'm speaking directly to you at this point.
I was going to say, so you're basically just saying you enjoy playing team events with me then.
No, but I do enjoy playing team events with people that are better putters and chippers than me for sure, because I'm like, oh, if they have this putt, I feel pretty good about them making it. Whereas if I have that same putt, I do not feel good about myself
Luckily, you've
making
got
it.
a wide range of partners to pick from then. If you're looking for people better at chipping and putting than you, you're actually a pretty good chipper. Your putting is just a mental. I don't know if you're ever going to get over that mental hurdle. You've got to care less. Like I think you put too much pressure on yourselves and you just have this mental hiccup where you think that you're not a good putter. And so you basically fulfill that destiny of not being a good putter. And if you can change that mindset. But anywho, what was your second answer?
I would say as an elite player, I think it's better for the guys that are similar and play similar games. Like it's better for guys that are either hitting it further and like to bomb and gouge, if you will, and it's not as prevalent on the PGA Tour. But I think it fits people's games if they and I think for the elite level players too, where as I am not in that category, to me, somebody could give me a fucking TP5X or a fucking noodle long and raw, whatever. I don't really care what ball I'm playing.
Raw. Oh my God.
That's what they're called, dude. Remember the fucking, I think the noodle 15 packs literally said long and raw on the fucking box. But to me, I don't care what ball I play, but I really do think that can sometimes matter in an event like this where they're playing an alternate shot and they do have to decide on one specific golf ball. These guys are so dialed in and they have the range balls on the PGA Tour are specific brands that you hit. You know, they've hit Pro V1 hundreds of thousands of times, and then all of a sudden they're switching to a TP5X for this event. I think that can affect you a little bit in this.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And like you said, I agree that there's definitely contrasting styles out there, even though they're all very, very good golfers. A lot of guys get it done different ways. And I just look at the pairing of Brooks Koepka and Shane Lowry, and I would say they play relatively different games. And I just don't really necessarily know how that's going to pan out for them in like an alternate shot. Whereas there's a couple of younger guys, not to bury the lead on my betting card here, but there's a couple of younger dudes that I think play pretty similar games. And honestly too, I think it comes down to being a friend thing and like playing golf with the other guy and like who you're just buddies with, who you want to spend time with. So it truly, like we've talked about it every year, the Zurich Classic is one of the most fun events because it brings in a different element that you're not familiar with on the PGA Tour. So you see guys that they get a little more personality to them when they're playing with one of their buddies. So
yeah, and I think this event, whereas it's still when you look at the results of it, and it's still the fact that it's a PGA Tour event where you could change your life essentially if one of these guys wins it and gets a tour card for a couple of years that doesn't have one currently. I think that it's a little more relaxed. Like you can just tell, obviously they don't take it as saying they don't take it serious is the wrong way to put it, but it's definitely more relaxed. And like you said, you see a little bit more of the personalities, and it's always funny, the couple of groups where you just don't think they fit together at all. And then there's the guys that you would think would be perfect partners and they end up, and combined with the fact that you just know it's like your Friday afternoon scramble at you're for your charity, everybody's going stupid low, like low 20s, 25, 26, 27 under, whatever. So you got to make a lot of birdies, and that makes kind of for a fun watch in terms of the compatibility of the partners, how they play together, how they, conduct themselves on the golf course, because it's a little more relaxed out there, but also the fact that it's just an absolute birdie fest. Those are fun when you kind of split those up during the year.
Yeah, well, and also I just kind of thought about this, like there's definitely less pressure on the individual in this event, and maybe that's why they're more relaxed, because you're playing with another PGA Tour player. Your traditional member guest, sometimes a 4 walks out there with an 18, where you expect as the 4 to take most of your shots. You feel like you're going to be carrying a brunt of the load, but it is pretty fair to think that the majority of these guys go into the Zurich thinking that their playing partner could absolutely carry them and have no problem with it. So I think when both of those guys have that kind of mindset, then it works out well for everybody. Whereas, like you said, in individual events, it just feels like they put more pressure on themselves because it's all on you. When you get to this event, it's just like, oh, my partner's got me. My partner will pick me up. So
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I kind of fall into the, like, I fall into that. And, playing partner golf with me, I fall into the mindset sometimes of I can fuck up because I'm human, but if you fuck up after I fuck up, I'm going to let you know about it. And maybe that's just because I'm playing with you and we've known each other for our entire lives and been friends and brothers, obviously. So I think that's where my mind goes. But if I'm playing with somebody random, I'm usually like a partner that I'm not as close with. I'm like, oh, they're gonna fuck up too, even though I don't want them to. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna fucking let them have it like I would you, or just like make a comment like I do to you where you get all fucking ass hurt.
Well, you say some that is the most frustrating thing about being your brother is you will say whatever you want to me and not that to everyone else. Whereas I tend to say pretty close to the same shit to everyone else that I say to you. Whether it's nice or not remains to be seen, but I tend to keep it a buck no matter what. Whereas you're like, oh, my 18 handicap buddy, oh, he played really good. And then I go out and fire fucking 2 or 3 under. And you're like, oh, but you missed that putt. You fucking hit this tee shot out of bounds, whatever. But that's just, that's being brothers. I would actually love to hear Matthew and Alex Fitzpatrick mic'd up just to hear if they bicker at all, because that there's got to be at least one argument, by the end of it. So let me get into.
I was just going to say the interesting part about those two real quick is that they're both obviously very high level players. And now that Alex has won on the DP World Tour, he kind of isn't in a little bit of a different stratosphere, right? Potentially one of the guys to earn a PGA Tour card through the DP World Tour going into 2027. But in that realm, Matt is obviously trying to help his brother, but also Matt is safe, right? And so Alex is like, hey, buddy, this is fucking, I know this is peanuts to you, but this is everything to me. Let's fucking lock in, and not saying that Matt's not, but it's definitely that little dynamic is pretty funny, because Alex is like, dude, if you help me out here, we're good. We're both good.
Yeah. We're going to be boys on tour together. I also heard that, which I did not know, is there's no world ranking points for this event. So that kind of sucks. I mean, you get the paycheck, you get the PGA Tour, you get the card for the next couple of years, but you do not get the world ranking points. So you'd still take a win there, obviously, over not winning, but it would be nice to help bolster your world ranking. Speaking of partners, so I'm doing a quick player profile. Didn't find a lot on this dude, but I picked Martin Couvra. He is Matthew Pavan's playing partner this week.
Frenchman as well.
He is a Frenchman, but oddly enough, this kid is like tan with blonde hair and blue eyes. And he's got like blonde curly hair. He's got one of those froze going where his hat even sits a little higher because that shit's so thick under there. But just when I picture a Frenchman, I naturally picture someone like Matthew Pavan, very dark features, a lot of dark hair, all that shit. So definitely not your typical looking French guy, but he's only 23 years old. He was actually the DP World Tour Rookie of the Year last year, which I kind of forgot about. Because I was like, the name kind of rung a bell, but then I was thinking of Jackson Koiven, the really good amateur, I think that plays at Vanderbilt.
Is it Couvra spelled like the Louvre? Is the Louvre French?
The Louvre is French, but it's spelled Couvra. So I could be completely
okay. There's an A at the end. I think the Louvre has an E.
Yeah, it's Louvre or some shit like that. But he won the Turkish Airlines Open last year, the 2025 Turkish Airlines Open, which is a pretty big event on the DP World Tour. And then he had 6 top 10s to earn the Rookie of the Year last year. And I looked at some of his stats. The DP World Tour does not do near the strokes gained, all those stats like that. But he's a pretty solid driver of the golf ball. And he was top 25 in putts per round on the DP World Tour this year. And it is kind of surprising that they don't have like strokes gained and all that shit. I know Data Golf picks it up, and I probably could have looked at that. But Eduardo Molinari was like the OG guy that invented strokes gained. Him and his coach kind of made it. And he's a longtime DP World Tour player. So you'd think that they would have those stats listed on the DP World Tour. But I did watch some video of his swing, and it looks very Rasmus or Nikolai Højgaard-y. It's very deep hands at the top of the backswing, deep hands, pretty closed club face at the top, strong club face, I guess you'd call it. And then he makes that big follow through that kind of wraps all the way up around his head, similar to like Nikolai Højgaard. But he's not like the longest hitter. The Højgaard brothers are pretty fucking long. I think he averages like 301 off the tee. So nothing crazy, but just a kid that is already having a pretty damn good DP World Tour season. Or he did last year. He's only got one top 10 this year, but he won on the Challenge Tour in 2023 as an amateur. And so I think that's how he jumped up in the world rankings, then turned pro, and then got on the DP World Tour 2 years ago. But he could be a guy, down the road that gets his PGA Tour card through the DP World Tour. So only 23 years old. Keep an eye out for this guy, Martin Kuvra.
Love that little player profile. Let's hop right into and get to our betting picks for this week up here on the screen. For those of you listening, I will start with mine. Right here. There we go.
Half and half.
Now in frame. Yeah, I forgot to, I was literally making this during Chiefs Correction Corner during the show. I forgot to dial it in. Of course, we don't have a one and done pick this week. We're no one and dones for the team event, but I'm just going to take the Fitzpatrick's plus 1200. Matty Fitz goes back to back. He's riding the high of winning the RBC Heritage. He helps his brother get a tour card for 2+ years. It's a great story all week. And then I'm going to take Aaron Rai and Sahith Theegala plus 333 to top 5. Seems like a team that fits, right? And then I just kind of throw in a dart here. It'll probably end up hitting because I did no research. And when I do all this research, nothing happens well for me. So Billy Horschel and Tom Hoagie, Mitchell's favorite player on PGA Tour to watch, plus 350 to top 10.
I think Horschel's had some good finishes here. So that's maybe why you kind of threw that dart. I'm rolling with Michael Brennan and Johnny Kiefer, two young dudes. Kiefer was one of the top young guys that got on tour this year. And then Michael Brennan, same thing, just a baller. Brennan's actually been playing really good golf lately. So plus 2,200 to win. AJ Ewert and I think it's Seth Jarvis. No, it's not. Seth Jarvis is the hockey player. I think Cam Jarvis. He's the dude who's already won twice on the DP World Tour this year, back-to-back weeks, the South African. So a little Canadian South African international bukkake down in New Orleans. And then the old guy, one old guy, one kind of washed older guy, Kevin Streelman, Joel Damon, plus 480 to top 10. I think Streels has played fairly well here, and Damon is just a really solid ball striker. So if they can put it together, I like their chances this week.
I love it. Love it. Well, those are our picks for the Zurich Classic. We'll tweet those out if Mitchell remembers after the show at some point today and put them on our Instagram. Follow us on all the socials at Big Drive Energy Golf on Insta. We're going to wrap this pod up with a little WTF Wednesday, and I'll kick us off this week. So this is kind of funny. So our friend of the program, Ryan RK, he is about to become a member at Lakewood Country Club. And he's got to go through like an interview process and everything. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting that they do is they send out his photo. They take like a headshot of him and send it out in an email blast to all the members at the course. Like, hey, basically, do you have a fucking problem with this guy? And then they also post his photo in the men's locker room for like 2 weeks before he becomes a member to like basically open up comments, concerns, questions for all of the members to like, hey, do you know this guy? Should we allow this guy to be a member? Not necessarily a WTF Wednesday, but just kind of interesting how that process worked. And then he went to a Masters watch party at South Broadway Country Club, I want to say. And one of the guys he sat next to randomly at one of the big tables was like, hey, I saw your face in my email this morning. Like just kind of hilarious, random that they would do something like that. I don't know if that's common practice. It'd be kind of fun to look into. Maybe we chat GPT some different courses and what they do. Like mine was just, you fucking sign up, you pay your fee when you're off the wait list and you go in. But it'd be kind of fun to see some interesting practices of golf courses or, what they do when somebody becomes a member.
Yeah, some of those old school country clubs like that may have some interesting rules, but yeah, you're basically just opening yourself up to get absolutely roasted. Or if you've got some hustlers out of your country club that they can kind of pick out the new guy and be like, oh, he doesn't know who I am. Like, let's go take some of his money. My WTF Wednesday is just people in general that wear like crazy shirts or just shirts that say crazy shit. Cause I saw a shirt at the airport yesterday that this dude was wearing on the back that said, "You've never met a motherfucker quite like me," on the back of his t-shirt. And I'm just like, who wears that on the airplane? Like, why don't just people that make the airplane like a fashion statement? Like, I saw a political t-shirt last week talking about socialism and how it's never worked in the world. But just like, why make an airplane the place to make a fashion statement? I will just never understand that. Or people that wear like these, I think it's always funny too, not to like shit on people, but the people that are like all jeweled out with their matching outfits and sets and shit, and they're sitting in the last fucking seat of the airplane. You're like, looks like you should be in first class and you're all the way in the back. But then you look at the people in first class and it's like some dude in some fucking Keen shoes and torn up jeans and like some old quarter zip. It's just a tale as old as time. You can tell the actual money from the fake money. So just the dynamic of an airplane cracks me up.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that always cracks me up about those shirts, just when you see them, you're just kind of like, oh, you're wearing that in public, and in an airport, like if you see an unhomed person that's wearing something like that, you're like, oh, okay, good for you, like whatever, you found a shirt
Shirt's
to
a
wear.
shirt. Yeah.
But when you see at airport, generally there's people that aren't. Those people are doing fairly well, at least enough to get on an airplane. So those crack me up, and the shirts of like. The shirts you see on Facebook are just like for the old people, where it's like, I'm there's no Grammy cooler than me and shit, like like that kind of shit. Those fucking kill me. I've seen some that are like multi-sports, where it's like, I may be a Broncos fan, but the Raiders have had my heart since. I'm making it up here, but some of the shit you see on there, that to think that people spend American currency on that kind of shit, or European currency, wherever they're getting it, is just fucking baffling to me.
Yeah, some shirts you see out in public, you're like, holy shit, that's pretty wild. But then again, my girlfriend wears Harry Potter t-shirts. So there's definitely a line to be drawn, and everyone's got a different line. But yeah, I'm just like, why don't you just be normal? And also, I mean, to kind of piggyback on that, I've seen a bunch of burner accounts on Twitter, like logo farming at the airport. Like, if you need to wear your best golf polo to the airport to let people know where you've played, I think that's almost douchier than wearing it to a golf course. Like, these guys are wearing these Smathers and Branson $200 belts that they got to the fucking airport for your flight to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like, nobody gives a fuck, dude. Nobody cares that you played the Tree Farm or Oh Hoopy or fucking whatever, man. Like, these dudes, the whole logo farming has just jumped the shark for me. Like, people don't care if you're the shittiest golfer in the world or if you're a piece of shit human being. They're just like, oh, you played it at this place? Like, wow, you must be the coolest. Or, it's just turned into a very vanity thing around golf. So I kind of got my belly full of it in general.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everybody has their belly full of us on this Wednesday. That's going to wrap it up for this hump day edition of Big Drive Energy. Like I said earlier, make sure you're following us on all the socials at Big Drive Energy Golf on Instagram, Big Drive Energy on Twitter and TikTok. We will be back with another episode next Monday after the Zurich Classic. Hopefully we can talk about some winners. I'm really ready to get a winner on the board. I'm 2 for 2 now in the last couple of weeks of picking a top 5 guy that wins the tournament. So kind of a half pat on the back for me for that. But we'll be back on Monday. Thank you guys all for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that thumbs up on the way out. We'd appreciate it. And make sure you're subscribed to our pod wherever you listen to your podcast. We will talk to you on we got something from Greg real quick.
Let's go. He logo farms my course. Let's go, baby.
I will say one of the quick things, logo farming is cool when logo farming is the coolest when it's a course that nobody really knows about, but the logo just goes insanely hard.
For sure. I totally agree. Yeah. But if you're just logo farming for the purpose of, yeah, like I said earlier, I'm out on that. But the Row is one of the best logos in golf, baby.
Let's go. All right. We will talk to you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Big Drive Energy out. Peace.
Peace.